Hey everybody, how's it going? Drew Creel here. This is episode 6 of Shred Sessions, and joining me today, I have Thomas Rodriguez and Nick Cross from deathcore legends Divisive. So welcome guys to the show, and thanks for being here.
Hell yeah, we appreciate you, man.
Hey, thanks for having us.
No, it's great to get you guys here. And I just found out you guys live in Clarksville too.
Yep.
Which I didn't know about. So right down the road. So
yeah, I've driven through this side, like delivering a bunch.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, it's a small world, man. I wanted to, get you guys over here because I caught one of the shows from the tour with Waste and Exitwounds, and I had a great time at the show. It was sick to see you guys play, and it was amazing. And the live sound in particular really blew me away. And it was like, because I had seen you guys a couple weeks prior, and it sounded awesome too, but it was elevated a little bit for the tour package. So how was the tour?
It was pretty surreal, honestly, because like for me it's a little different because I was coming off of like another tour, like from on the Filth tour, and just so it was just like kind of just nonstop for me.
Yeah.
But like it was just kind of surreal because it was kind of like a full circle moment with Waste.
Yeah.
Especially with like, because we had played in like Minnesota like a few years ago, and some dudes from Waste were at that show and liked us, and just kind of just evolved when Waste became a band. And then they came through on a tour, and we like booked a show for them and all that stuff, and that went really well. And then Christian ended up being our manager, and just kind of just all just full circle. Then we got to tour together, so it was kind of just like one of those like full circle moments.
Oh yeah,
for us.
For sure.
And like every show like did really well.
That's awesome.
And like there wasn't like one show where it's kind of like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there wasn't really any of that. It was just kind of just like at least 50 people every show.
At least 50 people every show, and people were pretty stoked. Like people like would say, "Oh, like I actually just found out about this show 2 weeks ago, so I went ahead and bought tickets," or "I saw that you guys are finally coming through." And even one person says that you guys have been my bucket list for the past 4 years, and now like, the day has came. And it happened to be on the hottest day of that run.
Oh my gosh.
It was 103 with like 10 mile.
It was the
10 mile wind.
Apparently, it was the worst, like the hottest day in Kansas, like ever.
Dang.
Or it was Kansas or Oklahoma. No, it was
Kansas.
Yeah, it was
Kansas.
apparently the hottest day like ever.
Well,
like record breaking like heat there.
I feel like Kansas is the new Arizona, dude. It's
doesn't make sense.
It's basically
Why?
a desert out there.
I mean, there's no trees, so you're just getting straight heat.
There was like
nothing.
There's no clouds there either. It was just like for me, like I'm from Florida, so I was like it was bad, but I didn't realize how bad it was. And then we came back. Everything here was like 92, whatever.
Yeah.
I hit the 90s. I'm like, this is nothing now.
Yeah, like we're prepped.
Coming back to Tennessee, and it's like pretty much 90 degrees every day in Tennessee with like good amount of humidity. So that's really saying something. Like, out west it's hot, man. So was the venue not properly air conditioned or something like that?
It was just outside.
Was it outside?
It was just outside that bad. No,
yeah.
not the show was outside, but it was just outside was just really bad. Every venue was good. Like it was that was the humongous center like hall looking.
It looked like The Shining. It was Temple Live in the lounge room is what it was, because there's 2 stages, and it's like on the 3rd floor. You took an elevator to get
and where is this at?
This is in
Wichita, Kansas,
and
it literally looked like The Shining. Like the hotel,
red carpet,
literally it was like The Shining.
Cathedral. Like,
whoa.
And like a lot of like wedding stuff happens there, and like all this old
ballrooms,
like, stuff.
Galleria.
There's like paintings of like old people. I don't know what they're probably not even alive now. But
the old settlers, man. I don't know.
It was crazy.
That's
that place
wild.
was so cool,
dude. I actually in 2011 I joined a metalcore band called Skies, and I lived in this little town called Hutchinson, Kansas, which is like about an hour from Wichita. So I'm like familiar with that area. We played a few tours that year, but there was not a lot happening with that band. So I eventually left that band, and that's how I ended up here in Tennessee. I played guitar in As Hell Retreats. This was like way back in 2012. But anyway,
trying to remember the name of that one album.
Volition?
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, I didn't have any part of that music other than just playing it live, on stage. But yeah, at the Nashville date for the tour, for the Waste tour, there was like a really fun energy in the room. Like people were having like a good time, and people were moshing and moving around, but it wasn't like bad energy vibes. It was just like really cool. And I think it's just a testament to the people on stage. You know what I mean? You guys kind of bring the energy to the crowd, and if you guys are putting out bad energy, I feel like the crowd maybe picks up on that a little bit. But
that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're just giving like a bad vibe, or like, you know, if you even show that, you know, you don't want to be there, then the crowd, you know, you could see it in their eyes and back, you know, it is just reciprocating energy back and forth. So it's like, I think every show is just going to be like a fun one. You're up there with your friends. So, I mean, might as well just deliver and have a good time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the music that you guys play is super heavy. It is pretty dark, you know, so it can bring that vibe. But I think you guys as people are just like really fun, loving people to be around. So, yeah, I had a great time at that show, and yeah, it was awesome. Any other like highlights from the tour that you want to share? Like any weird things that happened? Any like super good things that happened?
We had some weird what's it called? Like a tire blew. And then
trailer tire or car tire?
That was actually the actual like van tire blew.
Mm-hmm.
But we thought luckily Waste like helped us out, and some random dude and a truck driver came through.
Is that scary while you're moving with everybody in the van, or?
We're pretty confident. No, like we knew.
Literally, as like we're driving, we were and just went, well.
I was like, that's a tire.
I pulled over.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, you're right. As like that vibrating was that tire. Let's
yeah,
go
it was
check
vibrating.
it out.
Like it was and then ended up doing that.
That's terrifying.
I was like, shoot, like we don't have a jack. We have nothing. Because we thought we did. We couldn't find it. Nothing.
Oh, dude, you got to check that before you leave town.
Bro. So they opened up, so what's it called? We tried to get the spare out, right? And apparently there's like a weird way to get into the spare to like drop it down, right?
Yeah.
It's through like the back of the trailer, like inside the door, like inside the trailer or something.
Yeah, you had to pop it open, sink it down, then you go ahead and it just drops down like a holy grail.
Oh yeah, like the tire's like up underneath.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yeah. One of those older designs.
The holy grail.
And then, but then
a new tire.
But then we look in there. Well, not we. I looked in there because I was gonna close out that thing because it was right by on my bunk. There was a jack, and there's the actual like thing to get the like.
Most vehicles have them in there somewhere.
I was like, really?
I
would have known it was there.
It was just jammed in there, like hidden.
Because of our like bunk situation, like it's behind a door, so it's just like, or behind like a wooden thing, so it's just like,
yeah.
I wouldn't have known.
Oh,
you know?
Man.
But we had that, and then we were stuck going up to the first date in Wisconsin because the something's loose with our battery, and we go. I wasn't driving. I just drove like halfway up from here to Wisconsin. I wake up, van ain't starting. I was like, we sat there for like 2 hours hoping someone can like jump start it. Nothing. And then I just went up to the battery and just pulled it, and it started. I was like, huh, well, there you go.
Oh, dude.
So it's just loose.
But I will add the truck driver that did help us.
Oh yeah,
he had heard of our music.
Apparently, he
knew our music.
Some dude that helped us get the lug nuts out or the bolts out. He apparently has heard of us and Waste.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And it was just like all he wanted was just a photo with us.
Yeah.
I was like, really?
Shout out to all the deathcore truck driver dads out there that are just jamming tunes
and
while they're hauling freight.
Yeah, I was just like, I would have never expected that. I thought it was just, just a random person just helping out a couple of musicians down on their luck. He's like, no, it's like, oh, you're Divisive. And it's like, who's that? Is that so-and-so? And I was like, wow. Would have never guessed in Texas because we were on the way to Corpus Christi.
Yeah, we were like 2.5 hours from Corpus.
We were ahead of schedule, so breaking down wasn't like an issue.
Oh yeah,
we were always
we were a little late, but like
time.
there was like 6 bands, so it didn't matter.
Oh, that's good, man.
Yeah.
So what is this vehicle like that you guys are touring in?
It's just like a regular 16-passenger van. The back 2 rows are like gone. And then we got like a bunk situation where it's like
4 bunks.
Technically, there's 2 bunks up top, and in the bottom just one big all like thing where like so it's like me, Columbus, and then Nick, and then whoever wants to like be Logan's bunk or whatever. Whoever he wasn't on his tour, but like
so like if Devin or if Brandon,
yeah, if whoever wants to be up there,
yeah.
Because usually we have like roll as a 4-piece, so whoever our other guy plays usually sits there. But we still have like 2 other benches for like we bring a photographer or a merch person or whatever.
Yeah.
So like at least everyone can still sleep.
Yeah, there's space for everyone comfortably.
That's awesome, man. Like the bunk thing is really cool because when you're in a van for that amount of time and you're in the seated position, it like takes its toll like on your back, you know, and like it's really hard on your body. So being able to actually like lay down and stretch your body like fully out, like that's crucial.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you guys have a pretty nice rig.
It's pretty decked out. Like it even has like it's like a 90, I think it's like a 97. Even though it has like an Apple AirPlay on it or
old
CarPlay.
Yeah.
And it's just pretty much decked out because we bought it from
Levels.
Yeah. The band from like they're like a metalcore band from Arkansas.
Shout out to Levels.
Yeah.
Shout out Levels.
Yeah, they just got they got not just got signed, but like
a couple months
ago they got signed to Sharp Tone. So they're kind of like newer North Lane sounding.
Okay.
They're going for that kind of sound.
Still heavy, still catchy, still marketable. So like I think they're gonna do well with that signing to Sharp Tone. I think it's gonna do good for them.
They came out to a show. Which one?
No, they're playing.
No, they came out to one of our shows. Or maybe they did. I don't remember.
It was the first tour in March with Snakefather.
Probably.
Yeah, because they were recording in Nashville that day, and they had some time to come out. I think it was like their off day from recording.
Yeah, I know. I at least saw Dalton. I think.
Yeah.
So
Dalton was there. Their bass player was there. I think someone else was up there too from Levels.
I don't remember.
It was good though. It was good to see those guys.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's amazing to make friends on the road, man. Like coming back around again after like a couple tours and seeing the same people and like having that. I miss that aspect of touring. It's been like a long time since I've toured, and hopefully I'll get out there in the next couple of years. But you guys have any advice that you want to share for other musicians or other people that would want to start touring with their band?
Get a Planet Fitness card, like a black card. That's a huge thing, so you can shower.
Yeah.
You get a guest, so that way, like if somebody in the band doesn't, as long as 2 people have it, and you're rolling as a 4-piece, you can get that person in, and it'll get them a code, so that way that they can shower, show up,
if they want to work out, they can do that, you know. And usually just stuff like around Planet Fitness.
Yeah.
For like food, kind of, or whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of just like the park. And sleep. But yeah, that's one pretty big thing, I'd say.
Creating a system that everyone can agree to and understand. Like for us, it's like after every show, we always try to drive at least 2 to 3 hours before sleeping. Sometimes we might go through the night, but we'll swap up 3 hours with Thomas, and then it might be 3 hours with Columbus. So that way we have the next day to, have some time, use the bathroom, shower, get some food, pop at a gas station real quick. So that way, like, we're always on time for a show. Or just having a system. One of our system is that if everybody leaves the van, Febreze. We
Febreze the hell out of the van.
And then once we get back in there, Febreze. So that way, like, it's always, there's no, like, lingering smell.
And also trash. Just, like, have a trash bag. Like, we have a little hook thing. And we just have a trash bag that we just throw it in there.
Yeah.
Or, like, every time we stop at a gas station, throw away our trash,
It's
and
really
keep it clean.
Those vans can quickly turn into an entire trash can of people and things. Like
we try to avoid having just a wasteland because you'll probably have a couple shoes scattered around, and you don't want to inconvenience someone. Like, hey, like, I'm falling behind on schedule because I can't find this because it's buried under this and that. Just like I said, having a nice system makes everything less stressful for everybody. Because you're touring with these people and you want to keep everybody in good spirits.
Yeah. No, that's good advice, man. Yeah, I like the driving rotation system, and 3 hours I think is like a reasonable amount of time for someone to drive after playing a show. You've sweated a couple times through, so like you want to shower or something, and then you can keep things moving. I think that's good.
Yeah, we kind of like play to each person's strength when we're driving, because like some people might not want to drive at night. They're not really good night drivers, so we just make sure like they never touch driving at night.
Right.
They're not going to kill everyone.
Yeah. We don't need any of that, So it's just kind of just like make sure we know, like everyone just knows what they're doing. Not even just driving, just everything. Like everyone has a role in the band, like.
And even co-piloting like helps into that. Like someone's strength might be I can drive. I just need someone to talk to me, keep me active, so that way that the silence doesn't make me think about sleeping. So it's like having a more talkative person to conversate with, which is typically me. Like, just to keep everyone going.
We don't even talk much though. we kind of just sit there,
we just vibe. But you know, there might be an instance like, well, for an example's sake, Devin might need to like, you know, it's like, I'm not feeling too good, I'm gonna pass out, because he might do the co-piloting with Columbus because that's who he's assigned to. I might jump in and say, I got that. I'll go ahead and take care of it. Check in on Columbus, and if he might be around the 2.5 mark, where he's like, you know, I think I'm passing out. Like, I don't think tonight's the night that I can really pull it off. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go ahead and find somewhere to park for the night, get some rest, maybe a minimum of like 5-6 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
Wake up, reconvene, and go from there.
Is Walmart still cool with like bands parking in the parking lot? Like, have you guys been like harassed or anything by like Walmart security?
I don't remember us ever stopping at a Walmart.
Where do you guys stop?
We normally park in front of a Planet Fitness.
Either a Planet Fitness or like move. Or like Love's, like a Love's spot. We've never had an issue. I've heard people like having issues, like
getting kicked out,
but we've never really ever had an issue.
I think it's probably because we also park at a very far distance. So like, you know, we might have like a 3-minute walk to like a Love's if it comes down to like that. You know, we're not in the way of people doing their own thing or like gas pumps, so we're not really like an inconvenience. So it's like, I think as long as you're at a safe distance, nobody will go out of their way to bother you kind of situation.
Yeah, exactly. This is bringing back memories, man, from when I toured, and like we would usually stay at a Walmart, and sometimes it was just so hot you would just go into the Walmart in the middle of the night if it was like a 24-hour Walmart just to cool off. I've noticed recently that you guys have done like different members of Divisive have done cover videos with Norman Reagan from Hard Reset. Tell us about like Phoenix Studio and like what that is and what you guys are trying to accomplish with that.
So with Phoenix, that's more of me, Seeger, and Columbus. That's kind of where it started from in 2021.
And Seeger's the drummer of Hard Reset.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Great drummer.
Yeah, because Thomas has his own studio.
Eltrod Studios, yeah.
Yeah.
What is it called?
Eltrod Studios.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which, before I continue, Divisive is an in-house band. So all mixing and mastering is done with Thomas Rodriguez over here. So if you need a good mix at an affordable price, hit my boy up.
Oh, dude. I didn't know that. That was actually one of my questions. Like, who do you guys record with? And the Umbra mix is unreal, dude.
Oh yeah,
it blew me away. And I've listened. I try to like listen to all the new like stuff that comes out across different genres of metal, and that song holds up just as well as like anything I've heard recently, from like Filth to Waste to Last 10 Seconds of Life. Like it has a vibe to it that's fantastic.
Appreciate that. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things. It's like when I joined a band, it's kind of like I didn't mean to join this band like at all. When I moved here from Florida,
you played drums in Divisive. I don't think we said that. And Nick is the vocalist. For anybody that doesn't know these guys, but anybody that's already a fan, you already know that. But
yeah, so like I reached out just to like mix and record this band back in like 2017 when I first moved here, and they were like, "Oh, you like," I was like, "Oh."
Spilled all over myself. Go ahead, man. Sorry. I'm being an idiot over here.
But yeah, I hit him up and I was like, yo, I want to record you guys. I heard, you know, like it was like a single they released or whatever. And I was like, shoot, like band from Clarksville, like, you know, hit him up. And I was like, they're like, okay, we'll listen to some stuff you done or whatever. And they hit me up again. They're like, you play drums? And I was like, yeah, I play drums.
And did you not want to play drums anymore?
I just moved here. I was just trying to like record.
Yeah.
You know, trying to actually get like a studio going because
producing is what you were trying to do.
I just moved here and I was just like I just had like a weird situation with my old band at the time and in Florida. So I was just like, but they're like, you should do like a drum video of like of our single. And I was like, okay, I guess maybe if I can get in the band, I can probably, you know, mix it and blah, blah, blah and all that stuff. And I just kind of how it started. And like ever since then, like I've done like everything that we've done. I've recorded it and mix and master everything.
Well, it sounds fantastic, man.
Hell yeah.
I love it. I was going running to Umbra like every day for like a week, you know, just kind of like, cause it really wakes me up, man. It gets me going. So
hell yeah.
That song is out of control. Yeah. I was actually like going to ask like, so who writes the lyrics for a lot of these songs? Is that you, Nick?
Yep.
So where did the inspiration come for Umbra and like some of the lyrical content?
So
are you gonna talk about the build up too?
Oh yeah,
we can say that too.
So yeah, we can say this out loud.
Yeah.
This one's pretty funny. So like with Umbra, I wanted to do like a double end approach with dealing with a narcissist. So like the first half kind of entails with like falling prey to the narcissist, and then up till the build up, it's like everything after overcoming dealing with like a narcissist. So it's like the first half is like the vulnerability, the torture of it all, if you will, and then the other half is kind of like the triumph, if you will. But as for the middle section, which is hilarious, I feel like I've told this story way too many times. That was a joke. I said that as
the call out
part. It's a joke. It was a joke.
You pathetic SOB part.
Yeah, like, I said it to them like as a joke. I was like, "Yo, this could be." It's like this could be either really stupid or it could be really cool, because I said it in like a joke voice too. Like I did like a Boston hardcore like voice, just kind of ranting. I was like, you guys get the idea. And they're like, that could be kind of cool. So then I actually started trying to like write something to it. And I was like, this doesn't need to be like too thought out necessarily, just something that just is ugly and it hits. But I did draw inspiration from the Majin Buu saga of Dragon Ball Z.
Here it is.
Because the last line is now I'm throwing you out to the fucking wind.
To the wind, yeah.
And I literally I gained inspiration because Majin Vegeta just looked at me and goes, I forget exactly what he said now that I'm on the spot. No, I'm going to crush you and throw you out to the wind. I was like, that's hard.
Yeah, it's super hard, man.
So I was like, I need to incorporate that, because like if somebody hears that they're gonna throw someone out to the wind, that's just like, you're gone.
It's really intense, like that part of the song. And I looked at the lyrics as like this entity that was maybe inhabiting you or something like that, like a demonic entity, and then you basically telling that entity like, stay away from me, you don't have any power over me, I'm a vessel and you don't have any business inhabiting me, or something like that. I'm a spiritual person, so I was like thinking about that.
That was kind of what I was like kind of going for, because with dealing with like a true hearted narcissist, it's like you don't really have that capability of your life anymore.
They're dangerous people, man.
Yeah, it's like the control factor. The moves that you make are no longer the moves that you make. So to like truly break free from that is not only liberating, but makes you feel pretty powerful.
Yeah.
But it's like, but I still, I don't want to make it sound super positive, but more of just like, this is it. Yeah. This is enough.
So yeah, I mean, some people might need to be playing that song and telling whatever controlling narcissist in their life to get away. You know what I mean?
Some people get stuck in that for years.
Yeah, it could be empowering for somebody out there. I mean, I've just been learning a lot about codependency and just unhealthy relationships over the last few years, and it's amazing how you can be involved in something like that and not even know that, like, oh wow, this is a really unhealthy relationship, whether it be with your parents or like a girlfriend or boyfriend, whatever,
you get blind to it.
Yeah Tunnel vision.
So yeah, that if you haven't heard that song yet, please check it out. It's insane. It's one of the heaviest things I've heard. That pinch harmonic that's super long, Oh my god, as soon as I heard that, I was like, dude.
Funny part was that riff had been sitting around in the vault since like 2020, and we didn't know how to start Umbra, because Umbra was written up to a certain point, and he's like, I don't know what to do, and I was like, dude, just I think it was named Dumb with like 3 B's in the folder.
The actual beginning was called like, that's the Dumb riff. And like it went on to like something else, like that was the beginning of the song, went on to whatever, and then I was like writing this new album, whatever, and I was like, I gotta somehow fit this in something.
And we were talking, I was like, dude, why don't you just use Dumb, and then it goes into the riff that you just
that one,
and like we pieced it together, and I was like, yeah, so there
it works. Yeah. That's sweet, man. Is this a collaborative writing kind of setup that you guys have as a band? Are you bouncing ideas off of each other, or is it just one or two guys?
It used to be more of like a real collaborative thing, because like when I joined the band, all I did was just play drums, record. That's it. Member changes and all that stuff happened. Then it became more of a role of like, writing, and like now I'm like the only original member left in the band, and I kind of just like pretty much now I just come up with I just write everything. I'll bounce it off of him. Like if I come up with a riff, I'm like, what do you think comes after this? Blah blah blah. Then I just do it. Just keep going.
So you play guitar too and write riffs on guitar?
I don't play guitar. I just all like Odin on a computer. just write all the MIDI notes and blah blah and write it. Cause like
that's fresh, man. That's cool.
Because for me, it's just like if it doesn't sound, I can't do the whole Guitar Pro thing. If it doesn't sound like what I want it to sound, I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear the computer noises. It sounds
too computer generated.
Yeah, I'm like,
even his Odin riff ideas, I'm like, this still hits, and it's not even mixed.
Like I want it to sound like the song is like there, like not the finished product, but like the idea and the emotion, you know, from it. So it's like that's kind of why I just do that.
Can you choose like an 8-string guitar in the band's tuning in that piece of software and then just start like pressing frets and stuff?
Yeah, so it's just all just like a piano roll, like, you know, like MIDI bass and all that stuff. Same concept. It's just like, you know, you build chords and all that stuff. Like I don't really, like I said, I just play drums. I barely know anything about guitar, but I learned from like recording people, knowing like what chords are and blah blah, and like all I know is really just whatever works for the band.
Yeah,
you know,
if the pitch sounds right, like, you know, like oh, that's a note.
Yeah, I just make sure like that sounds right. Whatever, you know, it's heavy. You know, so it's just like messing with like what key the songs are in.
Yeah, because
I love key changes. I don't know what it is about it, but constantly changing keys. Even in Umbra, there's key changes at the last breakdown. Like it starts stepping down.
Oh, yeah, that last breakdown is mean.
Yeah, so like
I think I actually went in the pit for that.
Hell yeah.
I think I
couldn't help. I was probably just being a total dork, swinging my legs around and stuff.
Run it. That's I live for it. Yeah. I like looking out and it's like my vision's not the best, but I see people going crazy. Cool.
Yeah. Oh, it's so fun to be on stage and see people going nuts. Yeah, I think it's amazing how many different tools there are these days for writing music, and I don't use a lot of different tools. I mainly just write stuff on the guitar because I am a guitar player. But what I like about these other tools is you will write something with it and it will sound totally different from what you would typically write. And so it's good for like getting out of your normal box of like making music.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. For me, it's like we don't get together and jam and do any of that stuff because I kind of feel like you would just kind of forget the ideas you come up with. Yeah. I don't know. It's just
unless it's on paper already.
Yeah, like that's one of those things. Is like I feel like I'll write a riff and then I come back to it and I'm like, I don't know what notes these are, but I gotta look at it.
Yeah,
and I see it's already basically already tabbed out kind of idea. Yeah, you know. And I want to figure out.
It's like, not to mention too, it's like everyone is like pretty far out. Like Columbus and Logan are a little bit closer to the Memphis area, and we're out in Clarksville. So like making sure that everyone's schedules were to align anyway.
Yeah,
is kind of like hard to get everyone in the same room as it is. But instead of like letting that be like a hindrance, it's just like, all right, let's see what we can do with a couple of ideas. Even if it's mobile, like, you know, we're gonna try and get it done, come together, and make the music that we're proud of and hope that's reciprocated by the time that it hits the big audience, if you will.
Yeah.
the internet.
The hordes out there. Yeah, man. I've had several different bands like on this podcast now, and it's cool to like talk to everybody about how they write their music. And like last week, Autumn Lies Buried was here, and they practice twice a week with everyone in the same room, and that's how they write music. And I'm like, I wouldn't have the patience for that, man. I would go nuts.
I mean, it's just one of those things. It's like we like have our like everyone in the band has a role, you know. So it's just like we all know, like we understand, like we all live our lives. When we get together, we just know like what to do, you know. Like I write, like I said, like I write the music, record it, blah blah and all that stuff, and do all that stuff, and kind of like do the final decisions of like things overall in the band. He handles more of the social media. Same with Columbus, he kind of handles some of the social media stuff, but and like you do like the merch stuff and all that stuff, and merch, like
inventory. I'm more of like safety net decisions and stuff like that. Like, you know, are we making the right decision? Is it the best one for us and whatnot? financially looking at things to make sure that everything looks good, how much we should keep behind in the band fund, what's accessible for this, is it worth doing this to, push out the best result for us. Should we keep working with this person or should we keep doing this? Should we market with this person or do campaigns for this? Just stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff, man. Like, so you're like the business manager of the band, pretty much. Maybe.
No, it's more of a we both feed off each other.
Okay.
It's more of like I ask him like, what do you think?
Yeah.
And then we kind of it's mainly just me and him on that stuff. But he handles more like the day-to-day, like everyday kind of like social media stuff in the band.
Yeah.
If something's like important and blah blah, like that goes through me. Like I make sure like everything is good, stuff like that. Like I said, like everyone has a role in the band, and people kind of like dabble into their each other's role also. So not just like one person's just only doing this.
Yeah, helping,
just like stuff like that.
Helping hands in every department. And since like Columbus isn't here, I'd like to add like Columbus. He has more of the extensive hand. Like he reaches out to a bunch of people.
He actually talks to people.
Yeah, like he talks to people. He's friends with the most random people.
Yeah. Columbus is the guitar player, Columbus Conley.
Yes.
For anybody listening. Yeah, he's a cool guy. I talked to him at the show, and I feel really stupid because I was like, hey man, like you're Columbus, right? And like I was like, is that your real name? He's like, yes, it's my real name. I felt so dumb because I don't think he wants to be associated with Christopher Columbus, or whatever.
He'll crack so many jokes like on Columbus Day. He'd be like, I'm the better Columbus to celebrate.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, we should celebrate him every Columbus Day.
That
for
joke
sure.
I love that joke. It gets better every year.
Oh man. So yeah, what is his role in the band?
Like I say, he's more of like the networker, just talking to people. Like we'll handle stuff. He just naturally just talks to people.
Yeah, right.
And like also like he's had like just knows, like I said, he just knows people.
He knows people,
And
he helped us get in contact with Hardcore Keem the first time when we were releasing like codecs. So it's like he made that connection, and then that's when like it comes back to me like, okay, it's like, is this going to be the best decision? Look over the channel. It's like he does a good job. It's like, let's go forward with this. He got us in contact with Galactic Criminal during for Blackout on reaction videos. It's like he'll reach out in like those type of departments. Like he knows like those type of people. So like he gets information on that, figures out how that all works, comes back to us, relays information, and then once again like comes back to me and him about, did we consider this factor? Do we want to work with this person? Is this the best move for us?
Yeah.
And just check all the boxes, give a thumbs up or a thumbs down on situations. But he's always done really good about that. He's always been like, just great with these people, and working with all these people have like helped us out tremendously.
That's awesome.
yeah, we just try to keep it like pretty like, I want to say we play things safe, but we just make sure, we just try to make sure like we don't like
Put the best foot forward, so to speak.
yeah,
right?
because we just don't want to like always get like what's like the best decision for the band, because it's like we want to play smart, we don't want any mistakes. We don't want to be those bands just constantly like mistake after mistake after mistake,
just
like
treading water forever.
Yeah, like
Right.
working with other people or whatever. Like, oh, like we don't want to be screwed over with certain things. We always try to like, I look at things in a certain way and he looks at things in another certain way. We kind of like
Meet in the middle.
Meet in the middle. Like, okay, like what do we think is the best decision for the band? Because
and sometimes like it may not be the best decision, but only because it's not the best decision at that time. Like it could be something of, hey, this is a good decision, but financially where we're at, we need this for this. Let's check back in 2 months with this decision and see if we're in a better spot.
Oh,
like,
dude, that's great.
Like, like never a wrong answer, maybe just like bad timing, but like, it's never just like, no, that's a terrible idea. Gone forever. It's just more of, maybe not now. Let's try again.
Timing is crucial, man.
Very crucial.
Timing is the main factor, I feel like, with music. You could have a really great band, but they don't appear in time. Like Lorna Shore was a band for like 10 years, and then they became popular like, I don't know, 2018, 2019 or something like that.
Yeah,
so
because I played a show with them with my old band in 2014 in North Carolina, and there was only 40 kids at that show. Then played with them again a year later on the on an Oceano tour with Last 10, Boris the Blade, someone else. It'll pop
Make Them Suffer wasn't on that.
No, they weren't.
I saw that in Florida. I saw that tour in Florida.
Yeah, and then that one had about maybe 80 to 100. Then I saw them in Clarksville. Was it Carnifex?
Is it? Oh, you're talking about that one? Yeah, that one was like
120.
It's got to be more than
Where
that.
did they play in Clarksville?
Warehouse.
So like,
R.I.P.
It was 2017, I think, too.
That was when I just moved here. Because they actually played with the Browning.
Oh yeah.
They played with the Browning and Rings of Saturn. That was the first ever like show in Tennessee that I've ever seen when I moved here.
Wow.
And that was at the Warehouse too.
I had like my cousins tell me about Lorna Shore, and they don't even like metal. And I was like, "Oh, have you heard To the Hellfire by Lorna Shore?" I was like, "Yeah, I have." What do you think of it? Like, and they're the heaviest band I've ever heard. You know,
which is hilarious because the first cover that came from Phoenix Studios was with Will for Pray for Plagues. But the thing was, we didn't know, like, he couldn't tell us that he was in that band because he was in Euclid at the time still. We were talking, like, all right, we're going to launch this off, but what cover should we start with? And then the song had dropped. We're like, okay, we're just going to have to do it with Will. Like, we've already had the video done, everything, we'll just launch off with this.
Is that video still up?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude, we got to check that out.
I think it hit like 2 million now, I think, on YouTube.
Oh my gosh.
Only because of just because of Will.
Because of his notoriety, yeah.
Yeah, because like it had just dropped, and then I was like, all right, within the next month, this has to be the one that comes out.
Do you feel like To the Hellfire and like his extreme vocals on that song, do you think that has kind of pushed the envelope with what vocalists are expected to do in deathcore?
Oh yeah, I think a lot of people are trying to like emulate that per se. Personally, I don't do a lot of vocal Olympics like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But that's just like preference. My thing is I just want to sound pissed. I just want to be pissed and like straight to the point. I might pull out a couple of like bag of tricks every now and then, but that's just like if I feel it fits for the song and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that is like the hot spot that like vocalists are like trying to pull out, all these like different styles and whatnot. So like To the Hellfire really has influenced a lot of people.
Yeah.
I know that it's brought in like what I always refer to as like the TikTok crowd, like the newer generation of kids that are on that app are coming into metal. People have been crossing over from hip hop. Some have even been interested in like learning vocals based off of that, just from my experience.
Yeah.
Like you said, like, have you heard of this band? Like it's reaching an audience, influencing people to this day, and probably even having like all these vocalists step up to like try and be the best that they can be and show people what they can do.
I think it's amazing. I mean, my cousin Luke, who lives up in Minnesota, he's like a golf guy, and I think he's like a banker. Like, he's an awesome dude, and he loves all different kinds of music. But I just thought it was awesome that like this guy who loves to go golfing is like jamming Lorna Shore. Like, I was like, that's just so sick. So we connected on that when we hung out this was a couple years ago at this point. It's really cool. Any way to get more people into this so they can discover, some of the smaller bands that might be even more like what they want to hear. They might connect more with Divisive versus Lorna Shore just for whatever reason. You know what I mean? Talk to people listening, what do musicians that are into this style of music, like metal and deathcore and heavy stuff, what do you guys have to do to sustain the band? Like, what kind of jobs do the guys in the band do outside of music? And what's the end all goal for all of this? I know that's kind of a big question, but
other than obviously the band, like I said, I just at my recording studio, a lot of times people just hear me from Divisive. So
people want to record with you.
Yeah, so it's kind of one of those things. Like, already just send me files and stuff like that. So for me, it's kind of like a lot of people just send me. I got my recording studio, and then I also I just do Uber at the moment. It's just kind of flexible. It's just super flexible. I kind of have my own schedule. If I need to do something for the band or for like my studio, I can just do it. And stuff like that. But like everyone just kind of just like has their own, like I said, job in the side, stuff like that, and just keep the band going. We kind of just, like I said, like we kind of just like spend money wisely. We don't just spend it on whatever. you know, on needless things, you know, like we pay for our own gear, so we don't like use like the band fund for gear or anything like that. And just kind of just like make sure we have merch to sell at shows.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the biggest thing for us.
Rolls back into the band, and then you try to double it and
and then
get out and play.
And then like having like a consistent like put in money, you know, like just like a pay after every 2 weeks or blah blah blah. We just put in, you know, that's like a thing that we do.
Yeah,
stuff
so
like
that way it just never slows down. Because like from my experience from like talking to bands growing up, I'd be like, hey, like why did you guys like break up and stuff like that? And it'd be like financials, being in debt and stuff like that. So like we try to make sure to like, you know, never be like in debt to anybody, so that way make sure that the money's always growing. I like to always say that we're the most approachable deathcore band.
Like, why do you say that?
Just because like we encourage people to come like hang out and talk to us. I always say it's like, hey, come hang out and talk to us after our set. It's like, you know, and then people, you know, I'll see people come over there and, you know, just small talk with them and stuff like that. Or we've even like had compliments of like, you guys are you guys are very easy to talk to. It's like I wasn't really sure after what I just saw on the stage, but like this is more easy going.
I didn't know I could talk to the guy in the ski mask after the show.
Exactly. You know, like it's just one of those things. And I think for me personally, growing up, I've had a couple of like, you know, encounters with some people where they may have been standoffish, or like I was probably too scared to talk to a band because I feel like they may have not wanted to. So I feel like that's probably just a reflection of like me growing up, be like, you know what, I'd rather be that person that somebody would want to talk to. They want to be like, I talked to the band that I wanted to come see and stuff like that.
It's amazing to connect with a band, especially one that you really like, or maybe one that you've seen for the first time. I think that's awesome that you guys are open to that and want to do that. I feel like even in like smaller metal bands, you can have these like insane egos, you know, like people can just be
I was just
so
say,
full,
yeah.
or they take what they do way too seriously.
Right.
And I get it. Certain bands have different aesthetics and their art means something. And so talking to a bunch of fans after the show might not be their vibe, but I think it's cool that you guys do that. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Just like we like hanging out. We don't really just hang out outside of playing shows. So it's kind of like one of those things. Is like just seeing new faces is like the best thing, especially going on tour. Like we like playing in here, you know, in Nashville and stuff like that or whatever. Just because familiar faces, but like seeing like other people's reactions to like not expecting to hear what they heard live, is like a big old like payoff. You know, and this is actually just talking about whatever, because like all of us like different things, and like other people kind of connect with certain things, you know, with us with the band. Like most of them, like, you know, a lot of like animes and blah blahs and all gaming, that stuff.
Or some people ask questions about some of our merch and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, is that Guts from Berserk? I'm like, it is. I'm like, oh, you know,
I bought the He-Man shirt.
Yeah. But you know, like, yeah.
I used to have the toys when I was a kid. Like we had like a lot of them, man. Like Beast Man and Skeletor and like all the vehicles and stuff. Like I think someone from our church like donated like a couple bins of the guys, you know. So I had like all these different ones. So when I saw you guys had a He-Man shirt, I was like, yep, that's the one.
Yeah, it's just a lot of that, you know. It's just like, and then people, you know, I'll be wearing like jerseys, and people will like, oh shoot, like I like soccer too, or whatever.
Yeah,
you know,
that's right. You did wear a soccer jersey.
So it's just kind of just a lot of that, you know, and just like just connecting with people outside of music is like something that people can remember. You know, like we don't really do it on purpose. Like we're not just seeking this. Like, you know, we're not trying to do this. It just kind of naturally just happens with us, you know. And so it's just kind of like, you know, just making sure like every show is like people can remember every show,
right? And you know, honestly, half of the time I'm just curious about like what brings some people there. Like, you know, it's like what made you want to like show up today, you know, who'd you come to see, what do you like? Because like, you know, some people, like I said, some people will think like a musician is like up here But at the core of everything, it's just another human.
No, I've noticed that you guys are really approachable, like at your shows, and yeah, it's cool to talk to fans because like one thing that I've noticed just like going to shows starting like this spring, like going to Dark Matter and like the End and stuff, like you'll see like just regular working people, you know, people that you wouldn't expect to see at a metal show, and they're there, and but they love the music, and I just think that's awesome.
Right. When I was living in North Carolina, and we used to play shows out there, we were in the college town, East Carolina, and we would have dudes that would come out to the show that were like in a fraternity. So it's like they would go to, what do they call it? The social.
Yeah.
Something like that. So they would go
a mixer with another sorority or something like that.
Yeah, that's one of those. And, you know, they would go out there. They'd have, like, their nice shirt on and stuff like that. But underneath, they would have, like, a tank top of, like, a band or something. They would stay there for a couple hours, and you could walk down the hill. And I knew, like, 2 or 3 guys that were in, like, these fraternities, spend a couple hours, drink a little bit, walk down the hill, change out of their shirt, pay to get into the show, donkey kick everybody. Just
donkey kick.
Just absolutely just a menace, and I loved it. Loved those
sweet.
dudes. The people you wouldn't expect. You'd be like, you're telling me that guy who was dressed so fresh earlier just showed up and just kicked everybody out the door? All right. I'm with it.
Well, I feel like our society, we just use labels so much, man, and we like to categorize people. But I guess with the advent of the internet, you know, people can be exposed to anything and they can find more of what they like. It's cool to find people that are, you know, maybe not traditionally metalheads or may not dress like a metalhead or something like that.
At the Tulsa show, and the big old kid.
Oh,
There's this like kid who's like, I think he was like 18 or whatever. He was like in overalls, like full on overalls,
Farm boy.
straight farm boy. Like this dude was like 6'3" or whatever, big old dude, you know, blonde hair. Doesn't look like he should be listening to the metal at all, but this dude was just wrecking the pit. So it's just like, it's just cool like seeing stuff like that. And he was a cool dude. Like we talked to him after the show, and like,
Was he Amish?
no. But like, it was just like one of those things. It's like seeing like people like at shows that are probably just like somehow got dragged to a show and just enjoyed the people, and then like the music is almost secondary in a sense, you know? Like you can bring someone who doesn't like metal at all, like to a metal show.
Yeah.
And as long as they feel safe, watching everybody like mosh and all that stuff is the entertainment part, and the music is like almost secondary. It's like
right.
one of those things, you know, and just kind of just like
the culture might be the point of interest, because like it's not the fact that they dislike metal. They may have not just stumbled upon a metal that they enjoy yet.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, when they think like metal, like, you know, some people like, oh yeah, you're in a band. I was like, oh yeah, it's like metal music. And the response you might get back might be like Metallica, Black Sabbath, like, kind of just like more heavier, like subjectively heavier.
Yeah.
But you know, like you're going to get a different response. Or some people might think that what heavy music is, that might be like the peak of it in a sense. And that's okay if they think that. But, you know, they might hear something like this for the first time and be like, I'm normally not into stuff like this, but something about this just gets me going. And it's like, oh, well, if you enjoy this, then you might want to participate in this. And you just kind of just smacked open a door in this person's life where they just might be consumed by this whole new subgenre of different music.
It's really exciting, man.
Right.
Yeah, and I think I was talking about this with another band, but you know, Metallica being on Stranger Things, like that opened the door for like a lot of young people to check out more metal music. And I just think that's awesome. Anything like Lorna Shore would be another one. Exactly. Just getting people in the door so that they can explore metal. And I think I came across an article recently. It might have been on like Metal Sucks or something like that. But they were talking about how more and more people are listening to metal. Like the numbers are going up in the genre itself, like on streaming platforms. So I just think hopefully that means that we can make some money, you know, in the future.
It's one of those things too. It's like people can like for me, it's like I like with Lorna Shore per se. Like people will say like, oh, they don't really like new Lorna Shore. And that's totally fine. But the one thing, because like for me, I'm like I enjoy their older stuff more. But the one thing I can appreciate about New Lorna is the fact that they broke through. Like a metal band broke through like a barrier.
Yeah.
and there's more bands like that, like Knock Loose or whatever, and just like stuff like that are like breaking through, and it's just kind of just opening up for other bands behind it.
Yeah,
per se.
It gives hope that it is something that can be obtainable. And I think all of these bands, one thing they have in common is how they conduct themselves business wise too. Like, you know, how they approach things, what they post about, how they engage with people and stuff like that. And if like you look at that, there's so many more takeaways now, because in the world of like social media, there's not a one size fits all. Like, you know, you could get the same 10 bands to try and get on like an editorial playlist, and maybe 2 of those bands, it might do wonderful numbers for them. For others, not so much. Or you could do the same TikTok or content challenge. Might work for some bands, might not work for other. And it's just really trying to find out what works best for everybody. But like, if you can, you know, if you start studying these bigger bands that are now the example that have broken through, you can start to learn a lot about yourself as a musician, but also collectively as a band too, or a group, you know.
It can help you put a strategy together for how to grow your band.
Right. And I feel like that also influences us to make those safe or like the best decisions that we feel works best for us and how we operate. You know, we look up to these bigger bands like, okay, that's great. I would have never thought of that. Or like, I like their approach to this.
Alex Terrible is wrestling with a bear. Maybe I should wrestle with a bear too.
No.
I mean, if I was jacked, I might be like, maybe, but
but for real though, like, what are some strategies that you guys have utilized with Divisive to help grow the band that you think have like worked for you?
Playing shows, touring, but other than that, like, cause like the biggest thing is really getting in front of people's faces. Really like connects with people. And also like the same thing with like connecting with them is a big thing. But other than that, social media, it's just kind of just constantly just being there, constantly posting, not just, you know, like not crap posting things, you know what I mean?
We're not big memers and stuff like that, or we don't really like put like, you know, just like push just to post, you know, posting just to post. Like on TikTok, I might post something more like slightly funny, but half of the time it'll just be me just putting up bands that we've played with, like, you know, bands you should check out, or it's me posting like the best cell phone quality videos from like a show. And like people seeing that, like there was one video, didn't think anything of it, but it was in Big Bar Room.
You're talking about Columbus, the Columbus show?
Yeah, the Columbus, Ohio show, last day of tour that we did with Infurious and Casket Maker. It was a video that our photographer Rachel at the time had captured, and it was in Legion when the bell hits. I decided to kick at the air, and then when it hits, my foot comes down, Columbus kicks and spins too, and there's just like 1, 2. And I guess a lot of people thought that was cool. They were like, yo, that was smooth. They're like, we need to bring back, you know, it just like people engaging and just respond to people like, yeah, we're going to bring back kicks and whatnot, and just silly stuff like that. But like, you know, it was one of those things, we just kind of kept posting what we thought was like cool content and relatable, and be like, or we might just put polls and ask people, it's like, what's your favorite song, or like, what do you enjoy that we do? And some people like, I like when you guys do this or that, you know, just kind of like pick at people's brains, because then that makes people feel closer to you. It's like, yeah, it's like I heard them say that they like this, and I told them I like it when I do that, and they responded to me, and then, you know, there's like, that made my day.
Even just responding, like the people, like when they comment or whatever, or just send us messages, like you actually like respond to them, not like respond to them as like a other person, like another, just, you know, or whatever. Like we don't just talk to them as like they're a fan and we're just a band, you know, like we actually like engage.
And I think that's also a big disconnect for some musicians, because it's more of like they think of it as musician talking to fans rather than a friend. Like, you know, you might talk to someone and be like, hey, good set, and they might like pull out their phone and be like, unreleased single right here, what do you think of it? And it's like, that's not, you know, that has nothing to do with anything. It's just like, there's nothing receptive about that. Or like, you know, you get a response from like a band, and it might just be like something off of ChatGPT, like, hey, really glad that you enjoyed this. Make sure you check out so-and-so. Here's all the links to like all the streaming platforms and like a template. No, but we will actually like respond, because I mean, personally, I feel like people need to be seen or heard for the music that they like and stuff like that. So I'll go out of my way. They'll be like, hey, I saw that like you guys are playing in this state. It's like, I'm so stoked for it. It's like, hey, you know, it's really good, really great that you're coming out to like see us play on this date. It's like, you know, we don't get to tour too much, so meeting people in other states is gonna be awesome. Come hang out with us at the table.
No, I think that's really effective, and I think you actually responded to me to something that I commented. You guys posted a picture of you in the Divisive ski mask, and I was like, will you be performing in that at the Nashville show? You know, like I commented.
Oh, like, that was me. I definitely responded.
You're like, yes, I will be doing that. Like it was cool to like actually have you post something meaningful after something that I had posted. It was great. So I think that's awesome. I wanted to ask you guys, so you mentioned like anime and stuff like that, like everyone in the band's like into anime, so like
Mine's Thomas.
I wasn't not me.
Not you?
Yeah.
Well, just like what are some of your favorites, man?
I'm more of like an old school type of dude. Like
Yeah.
I will go back and I will watch the Dark Tournament to Yu Yu Hakusho. I like the older it's gotta hurt me, you know, that's the thing. It's gotta be dark, it's gotta hurt. Rurouni Kenshin, Gundam Wing, G Gundam.
Love Gundam Wing. G Gundam, man.
I don't care what anybody says. I love the love story in G Gundam.
Oh, Rain, man.
Care. Dude, exactly.
Dude, when Rain like when she like meshes biologically with the machine, like it just tears at your soul, man.
Yeah,
like you just want her to like come back so bad.
Right, and then when
Schwartz Bruder too,
like,
man. What an evil guy.
He goes, I love you. I'm like, damn, he said that with his full chest.
Yeah.
Obviously, like the early like Dragon Ball Z. I know like a lot of like elitists and gatekeepers will tell you it's like Dragon Ball Z is not real anime. Whatever, don't care.
Oh, I love Dragon Ball Z. What's your favorite saga, man?
And it's got to be a tie between the Frieza and the Cell Saga, because you could clap Frieza up, he's still gonna talk shit. I can respect that.
Yeah, Frieza, man, he just seemed to never die, as they all do, I suppose.
Right,
but there's something very nostalgic for me about being on the planet Namek and the fights that happened there. There's something special about that planet, so I always go back to that.
Right, and Frieza was always like a tease tactic. Like he never gave you all the bells and whistles. Like he was just fighting people. It was like, I'm just kind of giving you like a bare bones. I mean, we can take it up a notch. He was just fucking with them half of the time.
Yeah. The first time his tail gets cut off, you think like, oh man, this guy is kind of fragile, but then it grows back and everyone's like, what? Like,
right. And then
out.
And then when Goku goes Super Saiyan, he's like, all right, you're kind of like a lot tougher now. I guess I can go 100%. And I'm like, you're telling me he was still doing all that? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that show just keeps you on the edge for forever.
Oh yeah.
I love that show. I actually had all the DVDs at one point, and then like I moved and I lost them, or I sold them or something, and I really wish I still had the DVD. You know what I mean? I know you can stream it probably somewhere, but
and I know like a lot of people like are, as time goes on, it's just like, oh, I just can't watch those like old animes just because the animation on it. I actually prefer like that super bright contrast.
Yeah,
like,
me too. I like the look of it.
Right. I don't know. Just something about like even like the gory aspect. It just hits different. It just it's more gritty.
Probably my all-time favorite is Trigun.
Hey,
yeah,
Trigun.
Yeah, Trigun, Vash the Stampede, man. Like that, and the Seeds part of the Project Seeds part of that show is just remarkable writing, in my opinion. It's just brilliant.
Did you ever watch Outlaw Star?
No.
That one, there's always like a couple people who have heard of it or may have not, but it's like one of those that went under the rug. It was on Toonami for a little bit. I want to say it only had like one season, probably no more than like 30, 40 episodes kind of deal. Space pirates kind of deal.
Cool.
Searching for treasure wish kind of deal. But that one was pretty cool.
That sounds up my alley, man.
Exactly.
Sounds awesome. Of course, I know we kind of mentioned Berserk a little bit earlier, but have you seen that dude on Instagram that made his own like Berserk sword and is like swinging it around and stuff like that?
Not.
He's kind of a nerdy guy, but it's freaking hysterical, man. I'll put it when I edit this video. I'll put it in here right now. But this dude is like talking about the different techniques and everything. I think he does them like, I think he's on day 223 and I think he got like 1 million views, but it's day 223 of training with the great sword or whatever, you know, this giant wooden. You would laugh so hard if you saw it, man.
I need it in my life now.
Yeah, he's great.
No longer a want, it's a need.
Yeah, the comment section is out of control. So what's up next for the band? I know you toured a couple weeks ago, and that went really well. Any new releases planned? Any upcoming shows, tours, anything going on in the fall?
Trying to figure out a release plan for our new album, because we're at that stage where we're like gonna announce it. You know, got to figure that out. Hopefully soon we can figure that out. We don't really have anything planned. We don't really have anything planned show wise, honestly, right now. We're kind of just like
no shows. As of right now, maybe a possible tour. Not too sure. Everything's still kind of like up in the air. I mean, never thought we'd be touring twice a year either. So, I mean,
I've been on 3.
Yeah, you
did 3 tours so far this year?
Yeah, so like we did the Divisive tour with like Discoveries and Snakefather. That was about like 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, John from Snakefather designed that He-Man shirt too, by the way.
He did, yeah.
On the road, like I'm talking about, we were in Nashville. He asked if we like He-Man, have we used those lyrics? And within 10 minutes of just us walking around, he had that done.
Yeah, it says, without me, you hold no power. And of course, He-Man says, I have the power, right? So it's kind of it's a take using the Divisive lyrics. So sick. Yeah,
so it's like had that tour, and then like not even maybe 2 weeks after that, I filled in for Inferious on that Filth tour that you guys played.
Yeah.
And did that for like half a month, and then another 2 weeks after that, the Waste tour.
Wow,
so I had like a busy like
you were going for it,
3
man.
months.
Bit of time.
Yeah, so it's kind of just like we're at that point where we're kind of like we don't have anything, so we're kind of just like regrouping. But like I said, we don't really have anything planned. Hopefully from these tours and all that stuff, and like we can figure things out, new opportunities come up, but we're kind of just kind of seeing it out, chilling, regrouping. Not really trying to write new music yet because we're sitting on another album.
I just gotta record a couple, get down like some topics that I actually like feel good about, because I've had so many different ideas, and then I'll implement them. I'm like, I don't know if this is it. I don't know if this is the time for these, like for this album to be about this. It doesn't feel like it musically to translate. But now I think I finally have a couple of ideas to like actually get that. So get ahead on a couple of songs.
So there's a whole album?
Another album that's done instrumentally.
Oh, that Nick has to write some lyrics for. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great place to be in, man.
Yeah. So we're like, we have the album that Umbra and Dweller and Dead Culture is on. That's been done for like over like 2 years.
And I'm sure like nobody cares, but I also try my best not to like double dip in the same concepts and lyric. Like I know people might overlook lyrics in the genre. And if you do read lyrics, shout out to you, because you're a real one.
I check them out. I read them.
I don't read.
Yeah, you a real one. But I make sure I try not to just double dip, because then nobody knows, but I know. It's like, yeah, you wrote about that last time. And I'll try to keep it as fresh as possible.
Heck yeah, man. I don't think that matters as much. I think you can write about the same concept. I think it's just how you could use a different lyrical style or something like that, I suppose. Right. But yeah, man, that's exciting, dude. A whole new record. And will Umbra and some of the other tunes be a part of that, like when it's fully out? Or
so Umbra, Dweller, and Dead Culture is going to be on that album. And I have another one that I wrote already, like instrumentally done. That's what we're trying to figure out. So we're kind of ahead of schedule.
I wrote riffs too on this one.
Oh yeah, what 2 whole riffs on the album?
Yeah, like 3.
He's been holding that over me. He wrote 2 whole parts on the new album.
3.
So how do you write riffs?
Yeah, he just tells me it.
Yeah, I just tell him. Yeah, he'll sometimes like, here, try this, because like we always try and
you're beatboxing the riffs.
That's what I do. That's how I write riffs. I write, like literally, I'll be just driving, and I'll be just driving because I do an Uber, and I'll just be like, came up with a riff idea, dun 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 dun, whatever, voice memo it. I know how I store it, And then whenever I feel like actually like
The
writing,
files are hilarious too. Like the temporary names, I'm pretty sure every band experiences that.
oh, the fake names of the song.
fake
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
they
You
do.
gotta have some
I-20
goofy working titles.
I
I-24.
have a riff called I-20. I have a song called I-24.
Corn on the cob.
I don't know.
There's just so many. I can't remember like on the spot.
Codex has some funny like original names like You're Not My Dad. That was Legion.
Oh yeah, oh, right. Zero Hero.
Yeah, some random stuff. But yeah, it's just kind of just that, and like I would write the riff, like I just literally screenshot, like not screen record, just video the screen and playing, and him like he would just maybe come up with an idea, if not or whatever. But he just kind of just like it would be cool if you do like whatever dun whatever, you know, and I'll just come up with it, you know, and like how about this?
So let me get like some modulation where it's just like very staccato, like.
Anytime you do the little staccato thing, I never put them in.
I know. But
never
like
think
just for an
about it.
example's sake, like, you know, we just go back and forth about, or like, how do you feel about this? I'm like, I feel like you're on a good roll. I think this is where it kind of goes downhill. Can we make this more like upbeat and more like, you know, rhythmic, but like maybe a guitar in the background and kind of grind it out from the first half that you just did? You're like, oh, I could try that. And like, you know, it was shoot back. It's like, so he might have the idea. I might just try to find a way to help him structure it.
So how does Columbus learn the riffs? Like,
With it being
does he
Odin,
just listen to it?
with it being Odin originally, he just has the tab already there.
Oh, it's
So
just
he
a tab already.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's just a MIDI, and then he just sees it and
He's
just
also
like.
he's also very fast at learning stuff.
Yeah, that's the
He's
one thing about Columbus.
ridiculous.
I don't have to ever like really worry about
You
like
just know he's
him
gonna get it.
playing guitar or learning the parts. So like that's the one good thing about him. I don't have to really ever worry about like him
Yeah, he's an
playing
excellent
as actual,
guitarist. There's
you
like
know-
a sweep arpeggio passage in one of the songs that's just
Hard as
super
fuck.
awesome.
I know which one you're
yeah,
talking
I
about.
was
Hard
like,
as fuck.
that I
Probably
could-
the only one in the
couldn't be
whole
playing that.
discography.
Oh, you're talking about dead coaches?
Yeah, that one's hard.
there's some shredding going on. I got to learn that, man. That's hard.
It's so fast.
Oh yeah. My buddy Donnie, he learned it by ear, and then Brad from Casket Maker, he did a run of it on TikTok.
No kidding.
It was sick.
Oh,
yeah.
dude. I love
was like,
it.
I was like, yo, I was like, come play it. come
We
play
don't play that
for us.
song, but that's the main reason we don't. It's because of that solo.
Yeah, it's
There's-
a little
there's-
wild.
It's a long
I was like,
song too.
There's a multitude of reasons why we don't play it. Just mainly because it is a set eater. Because it's like almost a 6-minute long song. So that's on average, that's 2 songs in our set.
Yeah.
So it's like if we put that song in, we're gonna have to. It's gonna be a shorter.
If
set.
the energy is up and then you play a tune like that, it's like everyone's gonna go get a beer or something like that.
and it's just like for me, it's like
and venues like, hey, you got a 20-minute set. It's like, damn.
20 minutes? Yeah, that's 4 songs. You know.
yeah. It's
Now,
just,
now it's like
6.
Now it's like 3 for us if we put that song in. You know, like it just cuts it down
Yeah.
heavily.
screw that.
Yeah, that's rough, man.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. It's like that song was like the first song that we wrote for the album, and it was just kind of one of those like
It was supposed to be a standalone.
yeah, that
originally.
yeah, it was supposed to be just standalone, and it was one of those like songs like we were just trialing something during the COVID times. So like that has like in my head has a like a different aura compared to other ones. Like the other songs. So it's kind of one of those things too. And it's like because like also for me I have this thing called like synesthesia, so like a C sound. And so it's kind of like
Yeah, that's amazing.
That song just visually is different from not actually visually different, but just in my head it's just visually different from like every other song. So it's kind of just like little I want to say weird, but it's also one of those things like it's just a set eater.
Yeah.
So I use that synesthesia thing for like writing music too.
So what color is a C note to you?
I don't see it like that. You know.
So what does it look like to you?
So it's one of like a C note. I guess it would be like if realistically, if I was thinking like in a guitar way, I just think of like blue. Some reason, but it's kind of one of those things. It's like
'cause I see green.
I see,
For it.
yeah,
I see green for C.
but it's kind of one of those things. Like if I'm writing a song, I visually see what the song is, and then when I write it, like if I get to a part, like oh that part looks too different, you know, like it's weird. Like it's like I gotta write something else for it to make it fit the song.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why I write from like the beginning to end. Some people kind of just write from parts to part, but on a new album, I have had to write backwards that was like so weird for me. Like from writing
writing the last song on the album first, or
no, just a part of the song. So like there's one song where it's called like Palace. That one I wrote from like the like second, third, and on to the end of the song. Like I wrote that, but I'm like, I need to write a whole beginning part leading up to that.
Mm-hmm.
And that was so weird for me because like I'm still new to writing. So that was like weird for me. Normally I start from like the beginning of the song to the end. So that was like a weird thing I had to like overcome.
And that's where like we start shooting back and forth. It's like when we listen to it, it's like, all right, in your head, do you hear this as an opening riff? Do you hear this as a middle riff? Or is this going to be a riff that reoccurs in the song?
Mm-hmm.
So then it's like, you know, like you said, writing backwards, like, okay, you hear this as a verse riff. It's like, okay. So we got to find something that's in a similar realm, so that way it's consistent until you reach this point, and then we'll go from there to see, you know, what's going to happen with the song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of like Umbra, like that beginning breakdown with the long pinch harmonic. That one was written like forever ago, just that part.
It's a little snippet.
And then I wrote the boom ba-da-da, I wrote that, and then just fit that in there because it was just like a thing that I had laying around that worked.
I'm pretty sure they're like pretty close in tempo. When I suggested, I was like,
yeah,
just
they're the
slap that
same.
in front of it.
Luckily, so
thankful.
But even though tempos don't matter for us because we got skyscraper tempo changes constantly, like just doing that stuff and gradual slowdowns. We got all that stuff. So
I feel like it's pretty rare to have a drummer write guitar riffs and write most of the music. But it translates so well for you guys live. I just think it's so cool. The other thing that's fascinating about you is you guys are playing with a laptop, right? Like, so you've got like cues and tempo changes, and Columbus was telling me that, I was like, what kind of amps are you using, man? Or what kind of pedals are you using? And he's like, well, I'm just using Fortin Nameless or something from the computers. Like, and he said that you set that up for him.
Yeah, I do everything for.
So explain that, man. How did you build that? Like,
so it originally just started from like, we were using just Kempers, obviously, like just normal, whatever, but we were still playing like with a laptop with like all the like backtracks and all that stuff or whatever, you know?
Automation.
Well, no, we didn't have automation with the Kempers yet.
Oh, okay.
But I started writing stuff. That needed like pitch shiftings on it. So I was just like, I wasn't gonna try and mess with MIDI. We don't have a pedal board. We don't do any of that stuff. So I was just kind of just like, I'm used to, you know, working on a DAW.
So he's just plugging his guitar in DI, and then like the pitch shifting sounds are being triggered by the computer that you programmed.
So literally, so like all the guitars get sent in like, you know, through wireless into the interface, and then on the actual track, I have like the amp sim with all the pitch shiftings and all that stuff. And because like his guitar is in normal D, you know, double drop D. The bass is actually an A. It's a weird thing. So I like pitch him up to D, so he's the same octave, and then I blend in a 50% octave under. So there's both the rumble.
That's why it sounds so heavy.
So there's a rumble on the bass still, but a high end clank. You know what I mean?
Oh my god!
Just so that, and also because I started writing stuff all the way down to double drop A, and
Good Lord!
So it was just kind of just like
bridge cables.
Yeah, so it's a lot of stuff like that. So
only whales can hear this.
Yeah. So it's just like, yeah, so it's just literally like the way I have it sent out also is that like I have one output of my interface where it's just the head, the nameless head, like with no cab on it. That gets sent out to the power amp into the cab, and then I have another one that's a cabbed version of that, and that gets sent out to the front of house or whatever. You know what I mean?
Dude, most guitar players can't even think about that, and you're the drummer.
Yeah, I
Like,
literally. Yeah, so like, yeah,
that includes me.
Yeah, so
but I'm like, I play tube amps, man. They're the best.
It's just it's one of those things. Like I do worry, like, oh, is it ever gonna like crash or whatever? But luckily, we haven't had an issue. Yeah, luckily. But also there's a thing too, is because like we don't have our other guitarist. We just have Columbus, and so it's kind of one of those things. It's like we did have a full, you know, 5-piece. In some shows, maybe Logan might not have been there or Houston might not have been there. We still want his parts there, so we just have like a backing of him going into the same signal chain out into the cab, so we just sound the same still. So that definitely helped us like still sound the same no matter what. And Columbus didn't have to learn anything new because he doesn't play any harmonies, he doesn't do any of that, but the other guitar plays the harmonies.
Yeah.
We don't have that many harmonies, but it's just, you know, that stuff. Just so everyone just plays the same no matter what.
You always get the same thing when you see Divisive live.
So it's just kind of like one of those things too. And it's like also I can like manipulate more of like the tone because of how low we are. So it's kind of just like I'm used to working in a DAW. So like I can just do all these crazy mixing things before, you know, it hits anything. So
dude, that's amazing. And the tones that you've chosen for the band for live sound amazing, dude. They sound nuts. And I love like the high pass, is it a high pass filter? I don't know, there's some filter guitars that show up in the set and I'm just like,
that's the
now I'm ready to
guitar,
punch someone.
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah,
when I
do a
hear
lot of
that
stuff. Yeah, the lo-fi tracks.
Lo-fi.
Yeah. To me, that's like cutting edge stuff, man. Like you're really thinking about things in so many different levels. And, you know, I've talked to different band members where they're just the drummer, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's cool to talk to somebody who is fulfilling multiple roles in the band and really trying to like stay on the forefront of technology. And you, I feel like technology in general is just underutilized so much by humanity, and there's so much more that you can do with the stuff that you already have.
Yeah.
So to hear you talk about it is really impressive, man. Like, I think that's so cool.
And it's just like one of those things too, is like we want, like, we've all seen bands go and play and they like don't sound really like the record or whatever. Like they sound worse.
Or tone wise, like the gear they used when they record in the studio is not the same when they use live.
Right.
Not really like emulating the product that somebody has heard. And that could make or break for like a first time listener. Like, wow, this sounds amazing. Yeah. I need to see this band.
It should always sound better, I feel like.
Right.
You know?
Like we want the same impact from the record live, you know? And just people like, it's just one of those things too. It's like, it's going to be the same no matter what every time. Because you've got tube amps, a knob might get changed or whatever. Like, not the biggest difference, but it's more just like, it's consistent. Yeah. You know? There's a lot of things, like for me, like I'm very DAW savvy. So like anybody else trying to do it in the band, they wouldn't be able to troubleshoot or figure it out. But it's kind of one of those things like,
right.
It's right next to me. Everything's right there. I know what to do. So it's kind of just one of those things like, I know it's going to work. So it's kind of like one of those things is like, and with being able to do that live, I can write more crazier stuff. Yeah. Because like I said, like we have songs where it's just constant key changes. Like it goes up and down, up and down, up and down and whatever. And I'm able to do that and write that and not have to worry about like, can we do this live? You know what I mean?
Right.
For sure.
The least that I can do is pretty much just know like kind of how your setup is. So that way, if like you're in the middle of like me helping you set up your drums, sound guy might be like, all right, what am I doing? It's like, oh, well, we got this is ran like, you know, like mono or whatever and stuff like that. But, you know, how many houses going through, is it got this, that, and then, you know, sound guy walks away, plugs up when he needs to. He doesn't have to slow down his setup. Yeah. And also, I clear myself of being the lazy vocalist title by helping him set up his...
Oh, it's good to have more than one guy in the band that knows how to run the setup. I mean, we ran into that with Proselyte. Like, our old guitar player, Josh, kind of built our whole rig. And then Carter, like, didn't really know how to use it, so he had to learn. And now I've got the rig in the other room, so I'm actually trying to learn it like this month as well. If I need to like make a new scene, we have a different setup than you guys. We use the X32, and like a little playback box instead of a laptop.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you just load the click and the cues and the tracks. Like it's really, it took me like half a day to figure out how to do it. Yeah. The X32, I need to spend some more time with that.
Yeah, we want to get into that. Like we're all in in-ears, but we don't hear ourselves or anything crazy. But we just listen just to instrumental versions and to click.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so
you can't, like, Columbus can't hear his own guitar in his ears?
We will probably eventually do that, you know, but he doesn't care to. He doesn't care to. I don't care to.
I only use one ear.
Yeah.
Because that way... if I'm completely isolated, it's probably, I know it's different for everybody, but for me, I tend to fight the music, so I will project even louder.
Yeah.
Because I'm already pretty loud as it is in comparison to other vocalists. So it's like, if I push any harder and if I'm completely, like, I can't monitor if I'm pushing too hard or if I need to pull back to conserve energy. Because I could think, oh, like, you know, this feels pretty good, but then look at the video and be like, ugh.
Yeah.
That was doo-doo.
Yeah, man. And you want to save your voice so that you can make it through like multiple shows. You know, you don't want to overdo it.
Yeah, one ear is able to like actually monitor and listen to what's happening out there, and then I have the old cowbell count me off.
You have a cowbell as our click track.
Nice.
The entire time. I'm like, all right, I'm where I need to be, but I can hear what's going on out here. We're good.
Guys, it's been awesome having you on this little show. Thanks for being here. I'm wishing you guys the best. If there's any big bands out there watching this, get these guys on the tour package. Yeah, and if you guys like what they do, buy a t-shirt. Where can we follow you guys on social media and stuff like that?
I think all of our handles are listed as Divisive TN. So you can
Divisive TN. Check it out.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, guys.
Appreciate you.
Everybody out there watching, thanks for staying with me for this long, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.